Hello and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show, the only podcast in real estate investing that teaches what you need to know to find and flip deals right now. Wow. Break free the chains that are holding you back and join us on this episode with Jason Lucchese.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Lucchese and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses Show. I am so excited that you are here with us today. I'm going to be discussing and sharing with you an amazing guy. He's got awesome stuff going on. He's known as the marketing dude, and he's done over 25 million pieces of direct mail. I don't know of anybody else that's done any larger numbers of that. And this dude is absolutely crushing it. He's in multiple markets. He's based out of the San Francisco area, and he's been doing real estate since 2004. So he's been doing this for a very long time. You know, I got started in 08, so he's got 4 years on me, and he's doing some awesome things. So I decided to reach out to him, see if he would be willing to share any of the knowledge that he's been able to gain from doing that many direct mail pieces and the amount of deals that he's also doing as well. So he's decided to just open up the floodgates. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, Gary Boomershine. Gary, how are you doing, my man?
I'm good, Jason. It is a pleasure. And hey, everybody, if you're watching the video, it's great to be here. And as Jason said, I'd love to share, especially right now, right? The market is it's a crazy good market, but it's also super competitive. And so I'm here to share what's working right now. And by the way, I haven't done 25 million pieces of direct mail just for myself. I wish I did,
Right.
but that would have cost a lot of money, right? So I would have had to have made over 100 million, I think, in profit. So that's I run a company called REI Vault. We do a massive amount of direct mail for a handful of sharp guys and gals around the country, and I've got a phone team that does nothing but kisses frogs, calling relentlessly, super strong phone team to schedule appointments off of the marketing. So you can pick my brain, and I'm here to hopefully add some value and have your listeners say, hey, this is great stuff, and I love Jason, because I love your stuff, Jason, too, man. I've been following you for quite some time.
No, nice, man. Thanks. I really appreciate that. So Gary, for folks that don't know you, I know I shared a little bit about your background, but let's talk about it. So you've been doing this since 2004. Let's talk about you've obviously seen the huge market cycle in 08. And you've gone through that. You're still here. So you weren't one of those investors that didn't know how to adapt. So let's talk about some of the things that you're up to nowadays. Like, what type of investing are you doing? Is it mainly single family? Is it any commercial? I know you're doing some multiple markets. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I run a couple of different businesses. I've been doing this, as you said, since 2004. I was a licensed real estate. I grew up in a family real estate company. I'll just give a little of the backstory really fast. So cool. I'm 49. Gosh, the time goes by super fast. Wife of 23 years and 2 girls.
Nice.
One in college, one in high school. I came out of the technology industry. I was a licensed agent from turning 18 until finally my attorney in 2004 told me to get rid of it because I'm in California. Because I only wanted to buy properties for myself, not list properties for others. And I am in the socialist state of California, where it's like lawsuits everywhere, right?
Right.
I left technology. I didn't want to have any part of real estate. When I was a kid, it was kind of like we were all forced almost by gunpoint to get into the real estate business. So if you've ever been in a family business, I didn't want any part of it. I got a computer engineering degree. I went and did right here in Silicon Valley. So I did a huge technology consulting firm. So I've got a very strong technology background, but it was in 2004 after doing the whole .com thing, made a ton of money and then lost it all in the .com drop. I did 4 software startups, and my wife and I finally said, you know what, let's go back to what we know. And I kid you not, I quit 2004. I quit my job. My wife, we had 2 babies. I had a 2-month-old, a 4-year-old, and I look back and it's like, I can't believe I quit my job, went full-time real estate. But first deal was in 2004, and never looked back since. Today, I've got really 3 businesses primarily. I run a marketing company, marketing and sales. We got about 60 people. It's called REI Vault.
Yep.
And then on the real estate side, I'm working 4 markets, primarily doing wholesaling. And then I am picking up some deals creatively where I can turn around and do owner financing and things like that.
Oh, that's cool.
I've done a lot of creative deals. In fact, I prefer creative deals. I always make 2 offers to a seller and seem to beat out a lot of the all cash guys.
Oh,
So I do
nice.
maybe 70% of my deals are wholesale, 25% are more creative in nature where I get a seller to carry back with a long income stream to us. And then I do a ton of private lending. That's probably my true passion. I love lending and being the bank. And so I still do the equivalent of hard money, but I work with a couple of hard money lenders, and then I'm the guy that provides the money through me or a portfolio of investors.
Oh, nice. Nice. I like that. That's really cool, man. So with the things that you're doing right now, you've got a nice mixture of things you're doing in the marketplace. Let's talk about the millions of marketing pieces that you've sent out. Obviously, you must be a big believer in direct mail marketing. I love direct mail marketing. What have you been seeing lately, in this year? Like what's been working for you? Like, as far as like a marketing piece, and it really has to do about the list. And I'm assuming, and I know you and I talked about this offline, it has to do with consistency. If you mail the list out once, you think it's a dud, you're really leaving a lot of money on the table. So I would like to get your perspective on that with as many direct mail pieces as you've done.
Yeah. And this is going to be a replay, so you can write stuff down because I usually go pretty deep really fast.
Okay.
The two biggest things, right now in this real estate market, especially for single family, it is off market, which means you got to go direct to the seller.
Yep.
The deals are not on the MLS. Well, there are some deals, but not like they were 4 years ago. And the bank-owned REOs have mostly dried up, and the auctions have dried up, right?
Yep.
So you got to go direct to the seller. And there's only a handful of ways to do it. And I will say direct mail is the one that scales. It's the most consistent. And you can actually make 7 figures just doing that one thing if you know how to do it right, direct mail. Facebook ads are also working if you know actually how to do Facebook ads. And of course, cold calling right now, data stacking and cold calling. In fact, we're launching a new service for our real estate, the members that are part of REI Vault to do cold calling, where we're actually data stacking means taking the right names and addresses, running them through the skip tracer at the right price, being able to get the phone numbers, putting them into the auto dialer, and then relentlessly dialing.
Yep.
And we're doing that. I've got a full phone team I've had for over a year that we've been building to do that.
Nice.
So cold calling, and then of course, bandit signs driving for dollars. Direct mail, if it's done right, we've done over 25 million pieces of direct mail. We've probably, a lot of the stuff that anybody's doing direct mail, and you've probably seen our stuff because it gets ripped off and replicated often, which is great, right? Market always changes, but a couple years ago, it was us that invented that third notice. We called it the shock and awe.
Oh yeah.
The blind copy, that's a Dan Kennedy. It's still, by the way, it's still the number one biggest moneymaker for our members who know how to use it.
Yeah.
Where we're actually sending out the postcard. You got postcards, you got handwritten yellow letters. I will tell you, for sellers with the right copy, postcards are typically going to be the most effective.
Oh wow.
For an equity list. Okay, for people that have equity, like an absentee owner list or an inherited property list.
Yep.
The reason we would do letters is for a smaller list that's more motivated. But I will tell you, the stuff that we're doing right now, like we're doing almost relentlessly postcards. Yellow, canary yellow.
Yep.
110-pound paper, and they truly need to be the 4x6 cards. The reason is that these sellers are getting a lot of different mail, and you want to be the one that they pull out of the stack.
Right.
And we've gotten really, really good at that. It's really interesting. Kind of a little backstory. I was at a mastermind. I know, Jason, you and I met at a mastermind as well, in a couple of events. I'm a huge proponent of masterminding with other like-minded investors. So anyway, I was been part of a really, really high-end exclusive mastermind. I'm in a couple of them, including Kent's boardroom. And we're all sitting there talking about what's working and sharing ideas, right? If you've been into a mastermind, it's like smart people saying, hey, here's how to do direct mail. Here's the mailing list.
Right.
Here's the Podio system. Here's the skip tracing. But the problem is everybody has to go off and implement it and do it themselves, right? And most of us are not good managers. We're entrepreneurs.
Right.
We're not good managers. We hate it. That's why we left corporate world. So I basically told everybody, I'm like, why don't we just have one centralized team that does all the work for us, right?
Yep.
And we get exclusivity so that we're sharing the results. And so anyway, I built that. I've got over 60 people, and it's a shared team, and it's the cost of one resource.
Nice.
So it's like, instead of you get to tap into a team that does the direct mail, the team that pulls and manages your mailing list, the team that sets up, all the Podio or the CRM, and the phone team, and you can do it for the cost of one overseas VA. So $1,000 to $2,000 a month, we do it all for you, and you get some exclusivity.
Nice.
What's been really amazing is that uniquely, I'm probably the only person in the country that truly knows the response rates of what's working and then what's converting into deals.
Yep.
So here's what I want to tell everybody about direct mail. And you can quote me on this, and I will eat my shoe if this is not accurate. Okay. So direct mail is one of the best ways right now for finding sellers, but there is the secret sauce. And if you're doing it right, you should close 1 in 20.
Okay.
So 1 in 20 leads off of direct mail, somewhere between 1 in 20 and 1 in 40.
Nice.
All right. If you're doing Facebook, we're finding about 1 in 35 to 1 in 40 leads coming off of Facebook, converting into a deal. Right. The most important part of the direct mail, I would say it's the list. It's actually something that's even more important. It is the phone team.
Okay.
Because you're going to be able to drive the leads. I mean, you put anything in the mail, you are going to be able to get the leads, but the biggest hole is the phone team, because typically you're not closing a seller on the very first phone call.
Right.
You got to have a team that is calling hundreds and hundreds of times a day with a reasonable script, kissing frogs, as we call them, to schedule appointments.
I like that.
So, a lot of the leads that come in, as an example, are hangups. So seller calls, they get a little nervous, they hang up. Well, most people leave those, and don't do anything with them. You got to call them. And there's a script that we built. There are about 15 of us in our group that built a killer script for talking to sellers. And if any of you want it, you can go out to reivault.com/sales ninja. And
Cool.
we call it our sales ninja script, and you can get access to it
Nice.
right there. But it's basically what to say. It's the perfect words to say to a seller. For instance, if they're calling a hang up, they should basically say, hey, we just missed a call from you. Were you calling about a note you received in the mail, or a property that you're thinking of selling? And it's the right words to get the seller to say yes,
Yep.
right, and not hang up on you. Build rapport, right, and schedule an appointment, find out a price. So it's been really cool.
I like that.
The second thing is the list. And what we have found just consistently, there are kind of 2 mailing lists that we have found that are working the best right now. One is an inherited property list of absentee owners that are mostly free and clear.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Inherited properties. These are properties that have been passed down most likely to heirs, and they're absentee owned, meaning the family most likely lives out of state, and they're mostly free and clear. These properties have been owned for a long, long time. Why? Because as real estate investors, we're not typically looking for pretty houses. We're looking for junkers. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
We're looking for distressed property, meaning it needs work or there's a problem. And this list that we've found, it's proprietary, is 18 million properties.
Wow.
And I will tell you, it was Chris Chico who actually found this list and then shared it with me.
Nice.
And we've been building it. So it's 18 million properties out of the 120 million that all of us have access to at ListSource or RealQuest. And what we've found is that the way that we're pulling the list, most other investors are missing, because the way they're pulling their absentee owner list, they're missing all of these gems.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? So
that is.
I'll give everybody, if you're following this, and let's say you're doing the marketing on your own, one of the little tricks, if you're going out to list source, by the way, we don't use list source because it's saturated.
Yep.
But if you were, the sale date, everybody's teaching you, all the gurus are teaching you to put in the last sale date of like 2008 or 2006. Here's
Yep.
the problem. Most of the gems, the sale date is blank.
Gotcha.
Okay. So when you're so you have to pull the whole list and then you filter afterwards. And so most people are doing it wrong and they're missing them. So we're finding a list that most people can't get.
Nice.
The closest list is a guy by the name of Chris Richter, who I think he sells his list for 30 grand. That list is amazing.
Huh.
So that we call that the invisible list because it's invisible mostly to our competition. And then we call another list the shipwreck list, but it's divorce, code violations and abatements, recently deceased,
Yep.
some bankruptcies and some foreclosures and some other stuff that we there's 3 different data providers we're getting it from. One is Benutech. They have Rebo Gateway.
yeah.
That's really good. That's really good data.
Yeah.
We go direct, but we have 3 data sources. And then what we're doing is we're actually we're taking it and pulling out only the ones that have equity. So it's, you basically buy a list of 10,000 properties and then we're able to like filter it down to the 3,000 and just market like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Cool?
That's smart. That's smart.
So those are the,
oh, go ahead, Gary.
those are the 2 lists. And then in terms of what's working around direct mail, gosh, you know what we're doing right now? So the Google Street View postcard and the handwritten letter has been really working well. There's only 2 companies that actually do that in the country, and we've tapped into one.
Oh, cool.
What that means is it's basically the postcard where they're inserting the Google, the actual picture of the property,
right,
and then really, really good copy. And then the new thing that we're doing, this is new, but we're seeing really, really good results. We're putting a text message where the seller can actually text a message to get an instant offer.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're pretty unique in the country being able to do that, but the results are phenomenal. We're using a guy out of St. Louis. Actually, it's Kent Clothier's. He introduced me to his guy that does all of their direct mail. If you don't know Kent Clothier, his family owns the largest private hedge fund in the country and does a ton of direct mail, and we're super good friends. But anyway, we're putting a text message on the postcard that says, hey, text here to get an instant offer. And the cool thing is when they do that, we have their address.
Yeah.
We know their address that's unique. And so we're getting right now, we're getting like 3 times the number of responses just by adding, everything else the same except adding that little text. We're getting 3x, meaning 300% more inbound leads. And so
that's pretty cool.
We're playing around with that. That cool?
So how does it determine when they send in the text message? How does it determine what kind of offer to make?
Yeah, the seller has to put a code. It's almost like it's almost like the pearls that were kind of popular a few years ago, but this is more effective. So the seller is actually text messaging a code to get an instant offer. And there's a company that actually built it. They were actually out of the car business. This all came out of the car business for buying cars, right? And anyway, you text the number, but we have the address, the seller's name and the address, and so we instantly text them back.
Nice.
And let them know there's some key wording that actually a guy, Jerry Stevens, actually created. That's pretty awesome. He's a 7-figure real estate investor.
Nice.
But anyway, that's working. That's brand new. We've got this thing called the 1031 postcard. This is awesome. I'm going to show you something here. So postcards, real quickly, I'm logging into a training site. This is what we give all of our members, real estate investors around the country access to, which is all of our training and systems and phone team, et cetera. But I'm going to go into an area real quick called marketing campaigns. I want to just show you a couple of pieces that have been really amazing. So I mentioned the pink doodle card. And this, by the way, this has been an awesome postcard, but our national response rate on this is about 1.3% nationally, which is good. Okay, anything above 1% is typically good. The 1031 exchange I'm going to show you in a minute, which Brad Chandler and his group created. it's like 4 times that. So we're averaging over 4%.
Nice. That's
Isn't that
awesome.
And the number of deals that are coming off of it, it produces really good leads. So this is the pink doodle. Some of you that are doing direct mail, you've probably seen this. It's good copy, and it definitely works. So a couple things to get a pop. We don't put the person's name or business name on the postcard. It'll actually reduce your response rates. And then the 4x6 crushes it. But there's a lot of companies that are using a smaller paper.
Really?
It's like 3.5. It is. And so our stuff will, we consistently hear that a seller is pulling our stuff. If they get other postcards or other letters, they're calling us first because it looks better. It's higher quality. And by the way, 800 numbers, a lot of people are like putting local phone numbers. 800 numbers actually will produce on most of our pieces, outproduce the local.
Really? That's surprising.
On a letter, always use a local phone number. You'll get half the response rate is what we're finding if you're using a handwritten looking letter, and then you always want a local number. But postcards, we are finding that the 800 or 888 number does produce better. And I think the reason is that most of the wording is, call to, hear our offer, or call to hear a pre-recorded message 24/7. And so the sellers don't feel so intimidated. The other thing about using an 800 number is you really want the phone number, right? And so if a seller blocks, they have caller ID blocking. Many times on these local phone numbers, you're not getting their numbers. Does that make sense?
It does. That's very interesting.
And one of the things we do is we built a follow-up system, I think unlike anything else out there, that does text message and ringless voice broadcast automatically on a drip. So a seller calls, we instantaneously are putting them on a 2 to 3 year text message and slide broadcast drip, as well as instantly, when they should be pushed over to the phone team automatically, that goes into an auto dialer. And that's all automated. We're using Podio that we built. We give it to all of our members, which is included, and manage that for them. But it's like we send the direct mail comes into the system, and then puts them on a follow-up, including a phone team that'll call them back. And
that's
then
pretty cool. Have you guys tested? Quick question, Gary. Have you guys tested? I saw there on that postcard you have the person's full name on there. Have you tested that versus just having their first name on there? Or
no, you definitely want their first name only, is what we have found.
Okay.
My name is Ryan. This is a test. This is actually so we'll put hi Ron. That's a great question, by the way. Hi Ron, or hi June, or hi Jerry. Yeah, first name, the more personalized. This is actually a really interesting point you're bringing up. When you're pulling a mailing list, and we do this for everybody automatically, you got to clean up the list. You can't just take a list and download it and then send out mail. It won't work. You might get some calls and some deals, but you're really throwing money away. You have to go through a data scrubbing process. We call it the nasty 19, because there's actually 19 things you should do to a mailing list.
Yep.
You've got to clean it up. You got to pull so it's the right first name. If it says trustee or TER, there's a lot of cleanup. And then the duplicates are a big deal. You want to make sure that if a seller, a lot of these properties, these gems, the seller has 15 or 20 or 50 properties, right?
Yep.
And you don't want them to receive 50 postcards to the same address on the same day. They absolutely will not call you.
Oh no, they won't. And it's funny that you bring that up, Gary, because we have somebody at our REI that says, "Hey, do you guys know who's sending me like these 11 postcards to? It's all going to my same address, but they're talking about one property." And it's like, he even said, it's such a turnoff. If somebody were to just reach out to me properly, I'd sell them the properties, but he's getting like 11 pieces and it's all the same exact thing. So it totally takes out the personal, like the personal touch, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why, the marketing and getting consistent marketing, getting it right. Because a lot of this, and I love this, by the way, a lot of people do direct mail. They do it once or twice it doesn't work for them, and then they quit. They say, oh, direct mail doesn't work in my market. And I love that, because that's what we want, right? The reality is you've got to, it's called the 6 M's, but you have to have the right, it's the market, the message, the media, multiple, money, and I can't remember, there's one other one that I actually made up about a year ago that's so important. This all came from Dan Kennedy. But the list is absolutely critical. And then the cleanup of the list, number one.
Yep.
Number two is the right words. It's the right copy, right? Here's the 1031 exchange that came from Brad Chandler, and we use this with our members. And I just told Brad I'd never market in his area with this postcard.
Nice.
So
well, that was
we
nice
offer
of you.
exclusivity. Yep. So my name is Ryan Joseph. So it'd be like your name or your sales acquisition manager. And I recently sold a house in your area, and I'm looking to purchase another one with the proceeds. So that
Nice.
we're finding this is really hitting hot buttons for a lot of these absentee owners.
Interesting.
So this has been phenomenal. We actually changed it. We reverse highlight in yellow, and this thing has gotten a really good quality lead. So, 1 in 20 sellers that call in should produce a deal. It could be less than that. I'm just assuming, you got marginal sales skills. I know, like Justin Colby, I think he's 1 in 18 right now. He's in a really competitive market, Phoenix.
Yeah, that is competitive.
So 1 in 20 to 1 in 40 leads off of direct mail should produce if you're doing it right. And what we do is we manage all that for our members. We take away all the brain damage. We're pulling the mailing list. If our members have, let's say they have their own mailing list from like Find Motivated Sellers Now or Chris Richter, they'll give us that. We'll manage all of it. We guarantee the lowest cost mail price for our members. So we basically, nobody can actually get it for less. And the reason is that we're doing so much mail, we've negotiated these killer volume discounts.
Nice.
So postcards are dirt cheap, and we guarantee it. And then we're dropping the mail every Thursday for the first time, and then we're repeating it. So typically we're mailing every 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days to the same seller on a schedule, but we're dropping mail every week. And we have found that Thursday is actually the best day to drop the direct mail. And the reason is most of the calls come in Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
And then driving those calls to a live person usually is the best practice, except for one series of postcards. But you really want to have somebody that's taking those calls live. We can set that up for everybody. We're not really using Pat Live anymore either. You want a really good salesperson that knows how to talk to sellers.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that. With the individuals that you have taking those inbound calls, it's basically, if you don't have somebody that's taking good inbound calls for your team, you're just going to be seeing a really awful return on your investment. So let's talk about that. When you have folks that are coming in, they're calling from, one of your postcards. How important do you think it is to have somebody on that other line knowing exactly what to say and ask? It's huge. So having somebody that can answer the phone is if you can, will actually produce you more profits. It is worth it, right? Especially when we're talking about a $10,000 to $100,000 profit per deal. Everybody on this call, you should all know your profit per deal. If you're closing deals, that's a really important number. What is your average profit per deal? If you're wholesaling, like in California, it's about $25,000. If you're in Oklahoma City, your average profit per deal is going to probably be between $8,000 and $10,000. The return on investment for wholesaling off of direct mail is typically about 6x. So spend $1, you make 6. Gotcha.
In return off of the marketing. So if you spend $1,000 on marketing, you're typically making about $6,000. Some people as high as $10 or $12. That's a return on investment. That, by the way, that's probably a higher ROI than in any industry, which is why we like real estate. If you're a fix and flip or a rehabber, it's typically like 20 to 30x.
Gotcha.
So that's right. Most investors, what we have found is they don't understand the value of leveraging other people. They know about leveraging other people's money, OPM, but they forget about the real power, which is leveraging other people's time, other people's experiences, other people's resources. I mean, like every company in America is based on leverage of people, right?
Right,
Human
right.
capital. And so most real estate investors, they get trapped because they try to do everything themselves. And the most important thing for doing real estate is to be in front of sellers, in front of them at their house, right? And then outsource everything else
Yep.
to get the desired result, which is an appointment, right? You want somebody else to do the marketing, somebody else to set up and manage all the systems, and kiss the frogs and dialing all day long to get us right in front of sellers. It's like, put me in front
Yeah.
of sellers. I hear that over and over again. Put me in front of a seller and I'll close them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we tried to solve for everybody. And
Especially if
it's
you want to
pretty
have
good.
an automated business, right? Like if you want to go on vacation for 2 weeks and not have your business, miss a single beat, it's going to be really important to have a team in place, because one of the biggest books two books actually, Traction and also the E-Myth, those are huge books because it really explains for entrepreneurs and business owners, stop working in your business all the time and start working on your business. Yep, there it is. Gino Wickman there. Great book. Highly recommended. But let's talk about that a little bit before we wrap up. Let's talk about the whole team dynamic, Gary. What's your philosophies behind that?
I think most real estate investors, most of us are entrepreneurs, and the reason that we don't actually get people working for us is we're scared, or we don't know how to manage.
Gotcha.
Right? We all know, hey, go get a VA, hire a VA, but you got to find the VA, you got to train the VA, and you got to manage the VA, right? You got to keep them busy, because a lot of these VAs overseas, if you're not keeping them busy, they're working for 4 or 5 other clients and they're triple dipping,
Yep.
right? And so the really break up, this, if you're looking at the screen, and you can go out to reivault.com and check out, this is actually a brochure that I had built, but this is really the funnel of our business for finding off-market deals. It doesn't matter whether you're doing pay-per-click or Facebook or anything. It starts with marketing.
Yep.
And you got to do either direct mail, postcards or letters, pay-per-click, Facebook, or whatever it is. It has to be every single week. As soon as you stop the marketing, your business fails.
Yep.
You got to have the fulfillment of it, which means making sure that pulling the mailing list and making sure it goes out. You got to have the system, right? I like Podio. A lot of us like Podio because it's super cheap, and we've built, I think we're the most experienced Podio company. There's one other, Investor Fuse is another company out there, but
Yep.
in terms of integrating it and pulling it all together, we are one of the largest Podio users out there. I know, because of the bill that we pay. CallRail, right? You got to have the phone system. So we like CallRail. You got to have the text message system. We actually integrate to Twilio because it's so dirt cheap. CallRail is expensive for text messaging. Sly Broadcast, if you're going to do skip tracing, TLO or IDI, right?
Yep.
So that you're going to have the systems, and then you got to have somebody to take the inbound seller calls, somebody that does the comparables, somebody that does the outbound, right? The kissing of frogs, because
Yes.
for every one deal that you get from the first call, you're going to probably get 5 to 10 or 20 more deals if you just have somebody working. Most of the money, right, 80% of the profits come between the 5th and the 12th interaction with a seller. That's a proven fact. The follow-up system and making sure that you're constantly texting, Sly Broadcast, sending emails, sending offer packages. And then where we should all be spending our time is negotiating, right, with sellers, getting in front of sellers, and then growing our business and raising money. And so a lot of us get stuck in the muck. And what I did is I just said, look, let's have a professional expert team that manages, hires, trains, keeps these people busy. It does it for all of us for, a fraction of the cost. And so that's what we've done. And we're constantly asking, everybody in our group said, hey, we really want to do cold calling. And so we built out a cold calling team. So now we're doing cold calling.
Nice.
We haven't rolled it out to everybody because there's one FCC. There's a lot of regulations around doing outbound cold calling, but we're at the final stages of being able to announce that to the world. So your group is probably one of the first besides our members.
No, that's awesome, man. I love it. And that really takes the in part of CEOs and takes it to where they could actually focus on the on part. And that's where the true wealth comes in for any type of a business owner, is when you could, and I'm a firm believer in this, is, if you're constantly worrying about this one deal, oh, I got to get this contract signed, I got to get this done, I got to get that done. What are you leaving on the table? Getting more deals under contract. And the other big thing too is you need to have that proper follow-up team, because there's, the term motivated seller is very overused. The person isn't motivated until you find out what their problems are and that you could actually solve those problems. Then they are considered motivated. And you don't do that probably by the first phone call. And like Gary was saying, it takes a few touches in order to get them, to turn in, you kiss the frog, turn into a prince. And that's how
Jason,
it really happens.
There's so much wisdom in what you said, brother. That's why I love you. I listen to your stuff. It's like, I'm going to go back and listen to this. Here's the thing. Assume and teach your team that all leads suck, right?
Yep.
Right? Everybody's chasing fairy dust. They're trying to get a better list or a better marketing piece.
Yep.
You need consistency and somebody actually calling.
Yep.
That's really what you need. You assume all leads suck, and you will find that 5 to 12 interactions, right?
Yep.
You're closing. I'm going to give you some really interesting statistics. Here's what we're finding. This was after, we have a phone team that does all the phone follow-up and appointment scheduling. So anybody out there, if you don't have consistent marketing, and you want to be able to have somebody do your marketing for you, and a phone team that actually calls and, relentlessly. Here's what we did. 80,000 calls last month, little less, 78,000 calls. Here are our statistics that you should be getting if you're doing it on your own, because we're getting it. 100 phone dials is getting about 20 off of leads that have already come in. Okay. 100 dials produces approximately 20 live connections. So out of 100 dials, 20 sellers are going to answer.
That's a nice connection. That's a really good percentage.
And we're getting 2 to 3 appointments off of that. So that's 2 to 3 appointments off of 100 dials. Now, if you sit there and you say, okay, I close one of those, that means 100 dials, I'm closing one deal. Let's say it's a $10,000 profit. That's $100 every time you dial the phone, whether they answer, whether they hang up on you, whether they say, take me off your list. The value of calling is ridiculous.
Oh,
right?
Totally. Totally. I'm a big believer in, you got to be picking up the phone and calling these people. And, we do the things with our lists too. We go through the list and we get them skip traced. We get them skip traced. We get the phone numbers and we send out the pieces. And it's such an easier call too when we follow up with those people. We say, hey, we sent you out something the other day and just wanted to make sure you received it, and just you could have a better shoe in instead of it just being straight cold. And we do cold calling all day long too. I just think it's an easier shoe in when you say that you've already sent them something, because they've received it. So it's really easy.
The other thing, and I know that you teach this, and a lot of your guys are probably, and gals are using this, but having an auto dialer is critical.
Oh yeah.
In this market. A lot of people are using Mojo dialer. That's great. We're actually using, there's another one called Call Tools. We're using 5.9. So our system is fully integrated completely without any work at all with 5.9. 5.9 is really like the Ferrari. It's a publicly traded company, but that's the auto dialer. One of the reasons that we're doing it, well, first off, we've got over 20 phone people that are trained, doing this, and the ability of like managing them and tracking them. The second is, what we have found is, if a seller has a 925 area code, you want to dial them from a 925 area code. Right?
Oh, interesting.
So we actually, that's one of the things that happens with our system is whatever the seller, whatever their phone number is that they dialed in on, we're dialing with that same phone number back.
Wow.
And we're able to change the time too. So we'll try them at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock, all the way Monday through Saturday. Our team are working from it's 9 o'clock in the morning, actually 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 p.m. at night on all the time zones.
That's
and actually
awesome.
there's some FCC regulations of calling before or after that. So
Nice. Well, so for our listeners, if they wanted to reach out to your site, it's reivault.com, correct?
yeah, this would be a great site, reivault.com/4CEOs.
Okay.
REI Vault, you can go to reivault.com as well, but reivault.com/4CEOs. I built a video. I actually did this for one of the for the largest private hedge fund in the country, the CEO.
Nice.
And I built this thing, and so it's like, hey, they liked it, and I'm like, I'll reuse it. It's 11-minute video. There's a process to fill out an application to see if you qualify, interact with our team. This is not a vendor model. It's a membership because you're sharing our staff. So we want to make sure it's a really good fit for you. You're a really good fit for us. Also, a lot of markets in the country are not even available because we offer exclusivity.
Nice.
As soon as we get too many people in a market, like Tampa as an example, we've got a guy, Brett, who's doing over $15,000, $20,000 a month in marketing with us. And so we're not putting anybody else in that market. So once the market's taken, it's gone.
Yep.
And but anyway, yeah, check us out. Love to chat with you. Yeah, it's an invite. You want to make sure we're an invite only group, very similar to a mastermind. So
Yep.
if you interact with us, you talk to Julia, make sure that you say Jason Lucchesi sent you over here, because otherwise you're likely not going to come in. We have found that we want like-minded investors that are not only that are accountable, but also willing to share, because that's one of the values that we're doing right now. We're sharing a lot of what's working, what's not, and all the tips. We got a private Facebook group and all that.
Oh, that's
cool.
Awesome, man. So yeah, go on over there, reivault.com/4CEOs, correct?
Yeah, FOR.
Okay.
CEOs.
4 CEOs. Awesome. I'll tell you what, this has been an amazing episode. Tons of marketing nuggets dropped on this episode. This has been a really epic show. So Gary, thanks for joining us, my man. This has been really, really amazing. Do you have any parting words for our folks?
This real estate, by the way, right now, this is one of the best times I've ever seen for investing. It's competitive. That's why everyone's jumping in, but do it right. And masterminding, following people like Jason is huge. I mean, everything I've learned, real estate is not a business to try to invent anything.
Right.
Find somebody that's doing something well right now, and then replicate it. And so anyway, been awesome, Jason. Thank you all. And yeah, if we ever have for any of your listeners, I'd love to have a beer with you.
Yeah.
I'm out there, and it's really cool. People have said, "Oh, I've listened to you for years," and it's pretty
That's
fun.
awesome, man. I love it. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's No Flipping Excuses episode. This episode definitely deserved you to give us a 5-star review. So make sure you go and leave us that 5-star review. Leave us a comment as well. So when you leave that 5-star review, let us know something that you enjoyed about the show. That is how we look at the comments, get inspired, and make additional shows just like this one for you, so you could go out there, flip more deals, make more money, and live a freedom-based lifestyle. But other than that, reach out to us if you need anything. Support at jasonluchesi.com. That's support at JASONLUCCHESI.com. But other than that, thanks for joining us. We will see you on the next episode. Go flip a deal. Talk to you later. Bye.